Hey everyone, welcome back. Well, today I thought it was going to be a better day than what we actually got. So Bitcoin was down, miners were down today. We do have some clarity with CoreWeave and Core Scientific as far as the buyout there. We have some details on it. We'll talk about it, right? So why did Core Scientific actually fall on the news? We'll talk about that as well. We'll get into the details on it. We have also Cleanspark reporting their June production update along with Iren. Those were actually pretty good there. We'll get into those. There's also a little nugget from Iren as far as another HPCI site potential. So we'll talk about that. What else do we have here? We got Hut 8 reporting on when they're going to report on their Q2 numbers. We have that date set, so we'll talk about that. What else do we have here? I think that's about it. We got some bullish news on Bitcoin as well. We'll get into that and all the news stories as always, but you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for whom only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what happened here today with Bitcoin and the miners as well. Bitcoin was down a little bit today from where we were obviously yesterday, but Bitcoin was down just a little bit. Like I said, 0.87% on the day. We went down and closed at 108,269. Wasn't too bad. We're down a little bit now in the new day for Tuesday. Not too bad though. Things aren't still looking too bad here. Ethereum was also down today as well. Ethereum was down 1.11% here, but the miners, oh my gosh. So we only had like really two miners that were in the green here. We had Bitfarms and Iren being up just a little bit. Bitfarms was up 0.98% after being down much lower during the day, then bouncing back up here. BitDeer was up, down 4.68%, was down actually worse than that, but it bounced back up here. Cypher was down 4.3 after being down a lot more. It was down to like 527, and then bounced from that as well. Cleanspark was down 7.51%. It was down a little bit more, and then came back up just a little bit. CORZ was kind of all over the place today. It was up as high as $16 or so, down to $13.50, and finally closed at $14.83 here. We'll get into the details as far as what's going on with that one. Why did it fall from where it was here at a high of 1821? Then we got Hive being down just a little bit, 1.73. It was down more, but then bounced. Hut 8, same story, right down 3.2%, being down more during the day, but coming back up a little bit. Iren was all over the place as well today. It had a high today of 1790, a low of 1518, and then finally closed at 1695 here. So that one was actually in the green, which was at least nice to see that. Mara was down 5.15% after bouncing back up a little bit. Riot was down 5.09% after it was down much more than that. And Wolf was down 8.75, along with everybody else was down much further, than came back up here. MicroStrategy was down. We got some MicroStrategy news as well. Galaxy was down 7.14%. Coin was up a little bit, 0.37%. Metaplanet was flat on the day. Semler was down 3.71. The blockchain group was down 13.9. That one has been coming down here from the high of 596. It's all the way down to $3.53. And what else do we have here? Small miners. Bit Digital had a great day again today. It's having huge bounces here recently after transitioning to becoming an Ethereum holding company, basically, treasury company, and divesting itself eventually of Bitcoin mining and spinning out the white fiber that they have for HPCI. So that's what's going on there, and that one's actually pumping. Is it kind of overvalued right now based on what they hodl? I saw a tweet from Sam and company there. They bought more Ethereum, right? But even if they bought the Ethereum, I think it's valued like $250 million, something like that, roughly right now. Their market cap is close to $1 billion as it is right now, or it was at one point at least during the day. Are they getting too much of a premium on that? Possibly. I don't know. You guys can let me know what your guys' thoughts are on that one. Other miners, the small miners were down. The Bitcoin Bitcoin miner ETFs were all down today as well. Obviously, miners are coming down. That's going to translate to the ETFs being down as well. But that's it on that one. Looking at the miners here really quick in the after hours here, we got BitDeer being down just a little bit, 0.19%. Bitfarms was up again here in the after hours, 0.97%. As of right now, Cypher's down a little bit, 1.38. Cleanspark's down just flat, actually. It's actually flat right now. Let's see here. CORZ is down, up actually 2.29% to $15.17. Hive is up 1.3%. Hut 8 is down 0.24%. And then we got Iren here being down 2.12% in the after hours. Mara being up just a little bit, 0.06. And we got Riot being down 0.17. And finally, TerraWolf down just 1% overall. Bitcoin here for the month of July is still only up 1%. The little pullback that we saw today, it's down a little bit from where it was yesterday. Bitcoin ETF inflows, well, we had about 51.9 million here, not counting what BlackRock bought or sold. So we'll get that data tomorrow, but I believe that was going to be positive still nonetheless. And let's get into the good news stories that we do have here for Bitcoin here. So breaking 40 billion hedge fund, Calamos recommends 10% Bitcoin portfolio allocation to replace equities and gold. BTC has matured into a global store of value. Yeah, I mean, we're just seeing this more and more happening here. And that is always good news, right? We love seeing that. Next here, just in Spain's second biggest bank, BBVA, recommends clients put up to 7% of their portfolio into Bitcoin and crypto. This is from Reuters, right? So more and more of these kind of institutions are recommending to their clients to put Bitcoin on their, well, part of their investment portfolio, I guess. So that's good news, right? That's going to take more Bitcoin off, drive the price up higher. We want to see that. This one here is the second largest bank in Spain. BBVA, again, launches Bitcoin and Ethereum trading and custody for retail customers. Banks are continuing to embrace Bitcoin as well. And yeah, I mean, right, we started out with a trickle here this past year or so. Now we're starting to see a definitely full-on gusher as far as when it comes to adoption here. So that's great to see. Next, Michael Saylor and company here. Strategy announces 4.2 billion STRD at the market program. They're going to be diluting and they're going to be buying more Bitcoin, right? So they've been kind of slow at, well, not really slow. They've been buying every week, but the amount they've been buying has been lower than what we've typically have seen from them. So once this goes through, they're going to be buying a heck of a lot more Bitcoin here, which is great. Love seeing that. Next here, Similar Scientific has acquired another 187 Bitcoin for 20 million and has achieved BTC yield of 29%, now holding 4,636 Bitcoins, right? These companies are just continuing to buy. No, regardless where the Bitcoin price is at, they're buying and stacking it. And yeah, why isn't the price of Bitcoin moving up? Well, that's a great old question there. A lot of theories are swarming around it. One theory is that some of the OG Bitcoin holders are selling out of their positions, right? If they got into it at $100, $1,000, whatever it might be, or even less than that. And they have a lot of Bitcoins right there and really, really nice profits right now. So they could be the ones that are actually divesting themselves of those Bitcoins and taking some huge profits as well. So, and there's quite a few of those. So that could be one theory there. All right. Next here, this one is Metaplanet. Bought another 2,205 Bitcoin here. So they're continuing to stack as well. This is great news. All right. Let's get into the miners here. And CoreWeave is the first one. We'll just do these kind of, not in alphabetical order, but just kind of in order of prevalence, I guess you could say, or topic. Well, you know what I mean. So CoreWeave finally has put out a press release that they are trying to acquire, obviously, CORZ Scientific. They came to a deal with CORZ Scientific, and here's what we have. So today they announced that they have signed a definitive agreement under which CoreWeave will acquire CORZ Scientific in an all-stock transaction. Under the terms of the merger agreement, CORZ Scientific stockholders will receive 0.1235 newly issued shares of CoreWeave Class A common stock for each share of CORZ Scientific common stock based on a fixed exchange ratio. Okay. Right, they're going to talk about the acquisition here, why it's good for them. Transaction details. So the transaction is expected to close in the fourth quarter of 2025, subject to customary closing conditions, including regulatory approval and approval by CORZ Scientific stockholders. So we'll see if this gets passed. I'm guessing it will. Obviously, the stock didn't do too well today. It was down quite a bit here, kind of bounced up a little bit here. So why did it do that? We'll get into that here in a second here. But as of July 3rd, the agreed upon exchange ratio implies a total equity value of approximately $9 billion, right? When I checked CoreWeave before today's trading, it was around like $6.5 billion in value. But they're valuing it at $9 billion, and I think that includes also all the debt that they have there as well. But this is calculated on a fully diluted basis and based on CoreWeave's 5-day VWAP. This represents a $20.40 per share value based on the closing price of CoreWeave Class A common stock as of July 3rd, and a premium of approximately 66% of the unaffected CORZ Scientific closing share price of $12.30 on June 25th. Right, so we've obviously, when the news came out that there rumors of CoreWeave looking to buy out CORZ Scientific, the stock definitely pumped at that point and got up to $18 and something. Got close to $20, but didn't really get there. So why? And why did it drop today here? Well, this kind of highlights why, I think. The final value will be determined at the time of the transaction close. So the transaction close is going to be Q4, as we know. CoreWeave also went public here this current year, right? I think it was, when was it? Right around March, April that it went public. at that point. There's a lockup period for all of the insiders there that have shares. They can't sell or do anything with those shares until like 6 months down the road. So that brings us to right around September, towards the end of September, roughly. At that point, there's going to be definitely some selling there by a lot of these guys because the stock has gone up from $30 all the way up to $155, wherever it's at right now today. So there's a lot of value there. They're going to be selling, so there's going to be some selling pressure on it, which could bring down the stock price. Number two, the futures market is also looking at the price of CoreWeave based on not only the insiders selling there in September sometime, but also the dilution and things like that, where they're looking at the stock price could go down to about $115, I think, is what I read, for November futures, and I think it was November, October futures, something like that. So based on those two things, that's why when you do the conversion at that point, when the stock, CoreWeave stock goes down in value, the value that you're going to get for CoreWeave is at that point going to be lower. So that's kind of why the stock, I believe, went down today. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is kind of my understanding of it as it is. So that kind of makes sense to me in that regard, right? Especially being an all stock deal. There's no cash involved, right? If cash was involved, it probably wouldn't have gotten a $9 billion value for it. It probably would have been a little bit lower on that, but it is all stock deal, so that's kind of where they got $9 billion at. And the price being at $20.40 roughly kind of goes in where we were thinking it might fall between, right? $20 and $30 somewhere, definitely on the lower end, but it's still a nice premium to where they were trading at. The good thing, obviously, for CORZ Scientific is they were asset light. They really needed to do something about that, and they're doing it with their pocketbooks right now, or actually with their shares. But they needed to buy infrastructure. They needed to have control over that. We saw that play out with Mara in the past, right, where they were asset light when it came to Bitcoin mining, and they learned that if you don't have control over your sites, you don't have control over your destiny, basically. So they've learned that as well, and Core is going to be doing the same thing here, or CoreWeave is. That gives them advantages, and one, they're actually going to be saving money in the long run with the deal that they have with CORZ Scientific for leasing the sites out. They're going to be saving money on that, about, I think they reported about $500 million in savings, roughly, a year after 2027, I believe they said, or 2027 and beyond. So that's huge savings for them, right? So this makes a great advantage and a great thing to do by CoreWeave for their shareholders and the company there. They need to do this. They need to probably buy some other sites as well. But nonetheless, the other thing was, what else did I hear? I listened into the conference call as well by CoreWeave today. Oh, the Bitcoin mining sites. There's, I think, around 400 megawatts left that Core Scientific has right now, which they are supposedly getting the block miners in. We don't know when that's going to be happening here, but supposedly those have been bought and paid for, so those are supposed to be coming in. We just don't know exactly when. So that will at least upgrade their fleet there, but CoreWeave is not interested in being a Bitcoin miner. They basically flat out said that during the press conference call, which then begs the question, how many of those sites that are left that are Bitcoin mining can they actually be converted over into HPC? Right? Looking at the location, looking at the interconnects, looking at fiber internet connection, right? Do you have redundancies there? All those things possible. Can those sites be converted into HPC, right? And the ones that can't be, they're going to basically sell those to somebody else that does want those sites. Two customers that come to mind for me, at least right now, is possibly Cleanspark, right? Bitcoin mining. That's all they're going to be doing. And then the other one might be Mara as well, right? Mara's trying to grow to 75 exahash by the end of the year. I think they have all the infrastructure they need for it, but if they don't, this would be probably a good get for them. Cleanspark also is looking to grow, right? So they might be kind of looking to buy this up as well. And it'll just depend on the price tag on it, right? What is the price tag for the facilities there, along with the miners, if they're newer base miners, if they're block miners and they're better than the ones they have in there right now, then what is the price going to be on that? So I think it's going to depend on that tremendously. It also depends on where Bitcoin price is at that point, right? Bitcoin by the end of the year is at 150, 180,000, 200,000, wherever it might be. You're going to be asking probably for a little bit of a premium there to buy those sites at that point. So it'll be interesting here. But I talked to my dad about it as well. As you guys know, my dad owns a bunch of shares of CoreWeave. He is still going to be holding on. He's going to be holding on and possibly holding on to the CoreWeave shares as well. He still thinks CoreWeave has a huge potential going forward, which the stock could do very well even beyond where it is trading right now. So he's looking to hold, right? He's not looking to sell at any time right now. And we'll see how this plays out. So he's bullish on it. We'll see. Time will tell if this was the right decision, right? On it. I mean, always looking backwards. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? You kind of maybe saw something, maybe you didn't see something. But in the end, you can only do what you can do in the present and not really worry about what's going to happen in the future. So we'll see how it works out, all right? But I think it will work out pretty well because I do believe CoreWeave does have a lot of potential. They also have the backing from NVIDIA, right? That's a great backing to have there. And they've been growing quite nicely, quite tremendously. They're also getting contracts from other hyperscalers as well for their HPCI demands and things like that. So I think there's still a lot of upside here potentially. So this might not be a bad way to go. All right, that's it on Core. You guys can let me know your thoughts on it and why you think this stocks went down and things like that. But we'll see. All right. Next, let's take a look at Hut 8 here. Hut 8 is going to be a quick one. They have reported they will release their financial results for the second quarter of 2025 before the market opens on August 7th. So we're starting to get those notifications in from the miners as well that they're going to be releasing their quarterly results here. And I do expect them to come in, early August to mid-August overall for everybody. The only one that might be delayed here is going to be probably maybe Iren. I believe Iren has ended their fiscal year end at the end of June here. So that might be towards the end of August unless they really get everything done early, which would be nice, but we'll see. All right, so that's that one. All right, let's get into the miner updates here. Cleanspark releases June 2025 Bitcoin mining update here. Here's a quote from Zach Bradford. June 2025 marked a milestone month for Cleanspark. We achieved our mid-year target of reaching 50 exahash of operational hash rate, becoming the first Bitcoin miner to do so entirely through fully self-operated infrastructure. Right, that's kind of a little bit of jab at Mara there because Mara still has about 65%. That's their fully owned sites, and then the rest is still where they host. They have their machines hosted with somebody else. And then recently here, obviously, this past last week, we saw Iren also getting 50 exahash. So those two are right now neck and neck in hash rate as it is. I think Iren's pausing there. Cleanspark is going to continue to build out, and they're going to talk about it here in a second here. So with 179 megawatts of additional power capacity secured under contract, enough to support more than 10 exahash of incremental hash rate, we are actively expanding our infrastructure to bring it online. This is great news. This expansion efforts are the result of deliberate planning and execution across energy procurement, engineering, and site development, and it's only the beginning. I love hearing that. It's only the beginning. We also have a substantial pipeline of additional power under development and research, giving us a clear path into Cleanspark's next phase of long-term scalable growth, which I love seeing. I do love seeing that, right? All right. The company now holds a Bitcoin treasury of 12,608 BTC, ranking 7th among all publicly traded companies worldwide, and all generated entirely through self-mining. Yeah, they haven't bought any Bitcoin. They've done a fantastic job growing their HODL here in the last year and a half or so. Right, and it's all from the self-mining here, which was very, very well done here. And here's a quote from Gary Vee, their CFO. Cleanspark's digital asset management efforts are now live and in the crawl phase, which is basically the baby steps phase. Our initial strategies went live, and we are seeing positive proof of concept results in our actively managed spot sales program and derivative overlay. June resulted in an average sale price of $105,160 per Bitcoin net of customary fees, which is $446 above VWAP for the same period, not including the premiums received from derivative transactions. While these strategies are still evolving, I'm proud of the institutional grade discipline and performance our treasury team is already demonstrating. So hopefully that will bring in some bucks as well in the long run here. Here's what we have as far as production metrics here. Bitcoin produced was 685. It's down a little bit from May numbers. I think May also was it a longer month? I can't remember now. I thought it was May 31 days and June was 30 days, I believe. Yeah, so it was 1 day shorter than May. And then you also had the heat here in the United States, which impacted a lot of the miners here where they were curtailing here, but still really good operations nonetheless. Operational hash rate, 50 exahash. Average operational hash rate was 45.3. And then average efficiency of deployed fleet, 16.15 joules per terahash, which is actually pretty good there. It's actually really good. And those numbers. Total Bitcoin holdings, talked about that, 12,608. And that's about it here for them. So let's take the numbers that I do have here for Cleanspark right now. This is as of today. Shares outstanding are 180. I wish it was 180. 280 million shares right now, 281 roughly. Stock price 11.33, market cap 3.18 billion as it is. The performance over the last 12 weeks has been actually pretty good here, actually really good. They're up 36% in last week, right? From 4 weeks ago, they're up 25%. From 8 weeks, they're up 33%. And from 12 weeks ago, they're up 63%. So really good run here that we've seen in a lot of these miners from basically the lows of April when we had the Trump announcement of the tariffs. They bottomed out at that point and then they skyrocketed here afterwards. So that's been nice here. Bitcoin production, obviously down a little bit here. They were down about 9 Bitcoin from May, right, 685. Going down to monthly revenue. Revenue, new all-time high for them, 72.49 million based on what I was able to calculate. Bitcoin HODL continues to increase here, which is nice. I mean, you see where they were last year. They had half of what they have right now, roughly. They had 6,591 in June of last year, and they got up to 12,608 here. Really, really well done there. Hash rate growth, nice increase here, 4.4 exahash increase in June, getting them to 50 exahash here. Sold Bitcoin, they sold about 579. That resulted in about 61 million in proceeds from that. And their BTC per exahash efficiency came in at 13.7 roughly. On that one, we'll get into some of the other things here in a second here. Institutions and analyst ratings did increase, or sorry, institutions stayed the same. The number of institutions, the shares number actually increased to 184.09 million. We now have one increase in the strong buy ratings to 6 from 5. We still have 4 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. High price target stayed the same at 25. The average went up a little bit to 19.10, and the low went up to $14 on them. All right, going down here as far as the machines operating during the month here. Majority of the machines I had operating about 28.128 days out of the month here, roughly. And then the newer machines that got installed, I have them at 10 days. You know, kind of hard to tell when those things were installed here, so I gave them and Iren the same figure there, about 10 days roughly on average, more or less. So that gave us 28.12 days out of the month here, which works out pretty well. And then based on the revenue that they received here for June times 12 months, I have them somewhere between $23.22 to $34.83. They're at $11.33. Yeah, they're undervalued, in my opinion, as it is currently here, right? Their Bitcoin production here, or Bitcoin HODL, is 42% of their market cap right now as it is, right? They have 1.359 billion in HODL as it is. Each share has $4.84. Even if we look at the last 4 quarters, or current quarter and the last 3 quarters, I've been between 16.88 and 25.32, right? Their revenues are increasing each month here, it seems like, in every quarter, so they should be getting a higher premium as well based on that. So they are still way under from where I think they should be. We'll see if Bitcoin going up to 150,000, 180, 200,000, whatever it might be, helps them out in the long run. I think it will, and they might actually catch a nice little spark here going forward. All right, so that's it. Thoughts on Cleanspark? I mean, they just continue to execute very, very well. I have no qualms with them. They're doing all the right things, at least in my opinion. Right? I could be wrong on things, but from what I'm seeing here, they're firing on all cylinders, so which is great to see. All right, so just keep it up. Keep growing. Love to see them get to 60 exahash plus by the end of the year here. And hopefully they can get to like maybe 70 exahash. We'll see. Love to see that, but we'll see. All right, that's it for Cleanspark. Let's get into Iren really quick here. Iren's got a little nugget for us as well, of maybe things to come here. But here's what we got here. So June highlights, record monthly revenue and hardware profit, 50 exahash mid-year target achieved. They've done a great job growing here in the last, I would say, year plus. AI cloud expanded with 2.4 thousand Blackwell GPUs, right? U.S. domestic issuer status transition complete. So that's awesome. So going forward, they're going to be based on the GAAP financial rules, I believe. And then customer and financing work streams progressing across all AI verticals, which is nice to see as well. You can see here 810 megawatts of data center capacity, 50 exahash installed. Total net electricity cost was 16 million, so that's actually pretty good. Revenue 68 million, excuse me. And then they got 4.3 thousand NVIDIA GPUs. Total hardware profit 51 million, which is nice. Key metrics here. So 41.1 exahash average operating hash rate. Right, we know they're at 50. So we had them at that point. BTC mined 620 Bitcoin, which is down a little bit from 627. But again, heat wave contributed to that, plus a shorter month here, so that's understandable. Net electricity costs here 16.3 million, and we saw 16.9 million in May here. I think it's maybe because May was a little bit longer month, but Also, they were operating probably more as well, but not a huge difference there. 600,000, so it's not too bad. But it's actually down, which is good to see here. Revenue, 2.2 million here from AI Cloud Services, so the same from May that we saw here. And the management commentary here, this is from Daniel Roberts. The past month has marked several significant milestones for Iren. We delivered another month of record revenues executed on oversubscribed convertible note offering, breached our self-mining target of 50 exahash, transitioned to U.S. domestic issuer status, and more than doubled our AI cloud business with procurement of next-generation NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs. And with nearly 3 gigawatts of grid-connected power and deep infrastructure expertise, we are uniquely positioned to deliver flexible solutions across the AI stack, including powered shells, built-to-suit facilities, turnkey co-location, and fully managed cloud services. Iren is at the forefront of 2 transformative technologies, Bitcoin and AI, owning and operating the compute infrastructure that powers both. And I do agree there tremendously on that. They've positioned themselves very, very well here. In time, I think they will capitalize on it. It's just a matter of time. When will it actually happen here? Right? But they have definitely many, many options here for their facilities going forward here. All right. What else do we have done here? They talk about Bitcoin mining here. We talked about that already pretty much up top here. We also talked about, where was it that I saw it here? It's way down, actually down in the bottom here towards the end. They have their little nugget over here. So Childress, 750 megawatts, right? This is the one where they have Horizon 1. So Horizon 1 up to 50 megawatts IT load on track for Q4 delivery with foundations underway and long lead equipment continue to arrive in line with initial expectations. So that's great there. And then planning and site works underway for Horizon 2 and beyond. So that's going to be at Childress 2. We'll have to wait and see what they actually do as far as megawatts there. But that's awesome to see. And then Sweetwater, you still have the same stuff. Sweetwater 2 as well. All this stuff is still targeting April 2026 for Sweetwater 1 and Sweetwater 2, late 2027. So that's still quite a ways out there as it is. And that is it. You can see where all their facilities are at. Yeah, that is the thing, assumptions, things like that. All right, let's get into their numbers here really quick as well. And here's what we got. So Iren has about 224 million shares outstanding. Stock price $16.95. It has had a fantastic run up here in the last 2 weeks. I would say it's gone ballistic, which is lovely to see. It is actually now, as you guys know, I own Iren and Cleanspark. Iren is right now, the value of it in my portfolio is actually higher now than my Cleanspark is by just a little bit. So I'm up like 108% on Cleanspark, and with Iren, I'm now up 111%. So that one just overtook it today. Iren just overtook Cleanspark, which I love. Nonetheless, right? I love both those companies. So seeing one do a little bit better than the other one for a short period of time, or maybe a little bit longer period of time, not a big deal. But as long as they're both going up, I'm in favor of that. But back to Iren here. So Iren's got a market cap of about 3.8 billion right now as it is. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been outstanding. It's freaking awesome. Last week they were up 60%. From 4 weeks ago they're up 72%. From 8 weeks ago they're up 139%. And from 12 weeks ago they're up almost 200%, 198.8%, which is just outstanding performance here in such a short period of time. Which is also great to see because, man, these miners have not been easy to hold, as you guys know. You got to have definitely a strong stomach for it. Obviously, they don't hodl anything here, right? They are pretty much fully operational right now as it is. They are pausing at 50 exahash and working towards HPC AI deals. They've said in the past that if they don't get any HPC AI deals or something like that, they can always transition back to growing their Bitcoin mining operations at the sites at Sweetwater 1, Sweetwater 2. Right, so they have the optionality there as well, and they are great at great at mining Bitcoin as it is, really low cost and everything else. So Bitcoin came in at 620 mined here for June, down a little bit from May here. Bitcoin revenues also went up here to 65.61 from 64.9, so that's good. Revenues continue to increase there as well. Hash rate, they added about 8.9, almost 9 exahash here in June, getting to 50 exahash here. So again, we got Cleanspark and Iren being there right now. Bitcoin sold, they sold everything as always, so that's the sales that they got there. BTC per exahash efficiency 12.4, also really good here as well. On that one, we'll get into some of these things in a second here. Institutions and analyst ratings here went up a little bit here to 236. Shares went up a little as well to 137.3 million. They are now 66.83% owned by institutions. We still have the 8 strong buy ratings, 3 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. Price target stayed the same for the high of $24. The average went up to $19.28, and the low stayed at $12 as it is. Okay. Going down here into Bitcoin mining side of things, how many days were they mining here? I got them at 28.258 days roughly, and the new machines being installed at about 10 days, right? They reported that they plugged them in towards the end of the month here, so I'm guessing somewhere around there is where they're at right now. Again, that's on average. We don't know exactly when they were plugged in, and they could have been plugging them in, you know, throughout the month in periods of time and things like that. It's kind of hard to figure out. So we'll use 10 days on that on average. So still really good operations, considering that we had a huge heat wave here in the United States. So that's really good operations there as well. All right, going back up here to my numbers here. So based on June figures, I believe I am using June. Using June. Okay, I'm in between $26.71 and $40. They're at $16.95. I still think they're way undervalued from where they really should be. Based on the numbers that we're seeing here right now, they are going to be obviously very profitable here in the current quarter, or the end of the year for them. Going to be 180 million here. So based on the last 4 quarters, they generated a total of 489 million here. All right, in the last 4 quarters, which is great work there. Definitely coming way up from where they were at 41 million, 53 million back in December of 23, March of 24, right? 53 million. They've been kind of in the 50 million range here roughly, and then they saw that huge growth there in December, 214 million, 144 million, 180 million. That is very nice to see that growth there. But based on that, yeah, I think they're still way undervalued on that as it is. And they probably will go even higher, right? All we really need is some kind of a news press release that they got a deal for, you know, a certain amount of megawatts, whether it's going to be 100, 200 megawatts, 300 megawatts, even 1 gigawatt. That would be awesome, and the stock will be off to the races. I mean, based on the way the stock is performing right now, it seems like somebody knows something, right? But nobody's talking yet. So maybe we'll get something here in the next couple of weeks where something gets revealed to us. Maybe. Just based on the way the stock is really running. It could be getting repriced as well, based on just the need for gigawatts and everything else. Okay? But we'll see how they do going forward. As I've said, they're pretty much pausing Bitcoin mining growth here right now, so we'll see how they do going forward. I think they'll do very well as long as Bitcoin goes up in value, right? So as Bitcoin goes up faster than the network hash rate percentage-wise, they'll continue to see increases in their Bitcoin mining revenue. If we see the opposite, where Bitcoin is flat and the network hash rate goes like crazy, they're going to start to see probably some declines in revenue based on that. But I think Bitcoin's going to continue to go up here in the next 6 months here, so that should help them out where they're actually making more and more money as time goes on as well. So yeah, I mean, they got to build out the sites, build out Horizon 1, now planning Horizon 2, and get some kind of HPCI deal. And man, we're off to the races if that happens. This is definitely a very well-run company here. So love it. Holding on to it for a little bit longer here. We'll see where we end up by the end of the year. We'll make some decisions at that point, I think, depending where we are in the cycle, right? But that's it. Let me know what you guys think of that one. And I think that's all I got for you guys. I think we covered everything else here. So let's get into Q&A. As always, spreadsheets available to my Patreon members. The link for that is down in the description. Love you all there for the support, and you get access to all the spreadsheets. Plus, you get access to our private Discord server as well. On that one. All right, let's get into Q&A here. I see you guys have been busy in the comments already as it is. So let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time, because time is money. As always, questions. If you could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. I'm going to scroll my way up and work my way down as always. So I will get to your question eventually. It might just take me a little while, depending on how many comments we have, and I'm trying to read through all this stuff here as it is. All right. Okay, let's see here. All right, I'm seeing some first questions popping up here. Boy, there's a lot. Okay. Okay. Let's see, we'll start. Where will we start? All right, I think we'll start here. Sadie, as always, thank you so much for the likes. I definitely appreciate it. Victor C. How do companies like BitDigital add more Ethereum to their reserve? Could BitDigital hit $10? How do companies like, well, they're going to either do convertible notes, they're going to do ATMs like they have here recently. What's the other way? They can also stake the Ethereum that they have there and get a yield on it that way, so you can stake more that way. So there's a couple ways they can do that. Can they hit $10? How much of a premium are you given on the MNAV that they have there, right? Right now they have, I think, 200 some odd million of Ethereum as it is. So they're being valued at, oh gosh, correct me if I'm wrong on the 200 million. I thought I saw that today. But if they're valued at $1 billion right now as it is, that's a 4x MNAV on just that part alone, because you're taking out basically the white fiber side of things. You're also divesting themselves of Bitcoin mining, right? So what does that actually value their Ethereum HODL at that point? So that's a question there. Should they get that huge of a premium? I don't know. I mean, we're seeing some companies definitely do that or get that with their treasury plays, but we'll see. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, Bang Bang says they dilute like MicroStrategy to acquire Ethereum, and they'll stake it to earn it. Yeah, that's kind of, yep. All right, let's see. All right, how high do you see BitDigital going to? Gosh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Depending how much of a premium it gets on the HODL that it has of Ethereum, right? Where does Ethereum also go? Let me see if I can pull this up. If you look at Ethereum over just the different time frames, I mean, not all time frames, but if you just look at it from like year to date, from last year also, let's see if we can pull this up. Let's see if I can put that one over at Bitcoin here, just to compare the two. So let's see here. Why isn't that popping up for me? Why is that working? I've been having issues with TradingView today for some reason. Bear with me while I pull this up really quick. Let's see if this will work now. There we go. ETH USD. Let's just do it against Coinbase here. All right. So let's see here. Year to date. Let's see if we can do that. All right. So here's a way to look at it right now. Where's my screen? There it is. All right. This is from the beginning of the year here, I believe. Let's see here. Yep. Wednesday, January 1st. Okay. So you got Bitcoin being up 15% more or less in the year. Ethereum is actually down 24%. Right. So what gives there? If we look at the 1 year time frame, well, you see Bitcoin being up 92%, Ethereum being down 16%. On the 5 year time frame, we're looking at, let's see here. It's a little bit closer on the 5 year, right? Bitcoin's up 1,087% and Ethereum's up 942%. If you look at it that way. But if you look at, let me see if I can look. I was hoping I could do like a maybe 2 year or 3 year. We could also, let me see here, scroll this out a little bit. So this is going back to May of 2022, right? Bitcoin's up 216%, Ethereum's up only 18%. So in the last like 2 years, Ethereum hasn't performed as well as Bitcoin has, nowhere near. So my concern is going forward, will it do better? And maybe with these companies going into Ethereum Treasury, that could help out stabilize the price maybe a little bit. I don't know. Maybe hold it up a little bit better here, potentially. I don't know. Only time will tell on that one. But that's kind of why I'm iffy on companies going into Ethereum HODL, basically, on that one. But maybe there's something to it here. We got obviously Tom Lee in this space as well, so there might be something to it, and maybe I'm missing something. I just don't see it right now. All right, let's go back here. Okay, talked about that one. Let's see. Okay, Bang Bang says, picked up some BitDeer, 1285 today, had recently sold it at 13.5, targeting 30 end of year. BTC goes to 125 at any point. Okay, well, that's actually pretty good. All right, Victor has a question here. Now that BitDigital is no more a miner, do they have to revalue? I'm not sure I understand your question there. Excuse me. No. Daniel's got a question here. What could Cleanspark pull out of their hat to start outperforming other miners? So far lagging, no interest in AI to this date. I mean, they're underperforming to the ones that are going for HPCI. I think that's still all the rage right now. I think eventually as Bitcoin goes up to 125, 150, 180, 200,000, whatever it might be, they will start seeing some love here. I mean, they've actually done pretty good here in the last couple of weeks here. They're up quite nicely here as it is. Right? Maybe not as up 200% like Iren is, but they're definitely, you also have to remember that from the beginning of this year, they weren't beaten down as much as some of the other miners were. So the other miners are catching kind of a little bit of a bounce from where they were beaten down. So I think that also plays into it as well. Marcus says, I want Cleanspark to drop to mid 80s and I will jump back in. Yeah, if it came back down there, I'd be buying again as well. All right, Heidi has a question. Why did CORZ drop? See, it didn't pop up. There it is. So why did CORZ drop? I think from what I've read and what I've listened to, it looks like, one, the officers of the company will be able to sell their shares because they went public in like March, April. So there's like a 6-month lockup period for them. They'll be able to sell in September, so there might be quite a bit of sell pressure there. Dilution is the other part of it, which would obviously dilute the shares there more, which then would revalue the amount that CoreWeave shareholders would get. So that's why CoreWeave dropped to right around that ballpark here, right? There's also futures. Futures are suggesting that CoreWeave might be priced at about $115 in like October, November timeframe, which obviously brings it down quite a bit here. That's why I think CORZ got repriced because of all those things that are unknown right now on it. Let's see, Dan says, time to buy CORZ. Right. All right. Heinz is asking, why would you buy CORZ when they got acquired? It's down, right? So, I mean, if you buy it now, you're basically getting CoreWeave at a certain point in time. Den says Iren's gonna get AI. I do really hope so. Financial Ernie is also here. How you doing? Do you think CoreWeave will sell off core miners and use their sites for GPU data centers? Also, what about digital miners? Okay, so let's unpack that first. So CoreWeave already mentioned it in their conference call that they are going to look at the sites. They're going to determine whether those sites can be used for HPCI. If they cannot be based on location, redundancies, and internet, things like that, they're going to probably just divest themselves of those sites. I don't know which sites those are going to be, right? We'll maybe find out in due course on that. So we'll see how much they actually end up selling here. But they do not want to be in Bitcoin mining at all for one reason or another. So, like I said, Cleanspark and Mara are probably good candidates to possibly buy those sites out. We'll see which one does, if any of them those guys do. And also, what about digital miners? Well, digital miners are basically hosted at somebody's site, right? So there's really no infrastructure there for somebody to buy. You're just basically buying. They're going to probably end up selling those things on the open market. Get I don't know what hash rate they have, but maybe they can get $10 per exahash or something like that. Maybe $8, depending on what the terahash is on those things. So that's basically what's going to be happening there. But nobody's going to be buying those. I don't think any of the miners are going to be buying those machines. They're going to, get newer machines if that's going to be the case here. But like I said, no infrastructure from BitDigital on it, so it's just going to be sold off. Dan Golden says, never short Iren. I wouldn't say never. Sometimes things get a little too overheated here. We'll see what happens there. Marcus, Sebastian, what do you think about BTC versus Solana versus Cosmos? Well, I don't know Cosmos. I don't know that one. Solana, I do know. BTC, I think, is the way to go forward. Does Solana play, does it have a role in this space? Yeah, it has a role. It has some utility, which is good. That's kind of how I judge things now. Does it have utility, right? Is it useful? Can it be used for something? And it can, so I think there's going to be some people that are obviously going to be in it. It can be used for certain things, and we'll find out over due course in time what the utility is going to be even more. Because it does have kind of the same principles as Ethereum does, right? Fast speed, low transaction fees. And there's a lot more that I don't know about it probably. That's happening here in the background. I haven't tracked up with it all the time. Or kept track of it all the time. As far as, let's see, man, come on, I need someone to buy Bitfarms. Right now, nobody's going to be, well, I shouldn't say never. But it doesn't look like anybody's going to be buying it until Riot is off their backs or potentially. Let's see. All right, Bitch82. So CoreWeave just converted their long-term deal for infrastructure from a lease to stock and got a mining business and extra gigawatts. Will this increase their profit margin? CoreWeave's, yes. This will definitely help their profit margin there. Okay, Marcus says, I think Cleanspark should buy Bitfarms. Not until, Riot's off their back there potentially. Okay. Daniel says, I could see a big share repurchase by Cleanspark at current levels and potentially an announcement by management to step in the AI HPC space. I'm keeping Cleanspark. I think they will catch up soon. I think they'll catch up soon because of Bitcoin price going up in value. I don't think it's going to be because of AI HPC or buying back stock or anything like that. They're not going to do that. I just don't see those two things coming out. They've been adamant about Bitcoin mining being the only pure play Bitcoin miner there. And I think they're going to stick to their guns there. All right. Rodrigo Diaz has a question. Why Riot is selling Bitfarms assuming a plus 50% loss, or their finances are not that wealthy as we think, or they have insider information and don't want to lose more money? I think it's because, honestly, I think it's because of the activist investors that have gotten on there, on Riot as well. I think they're the ones that are pulling the strings a little bit more. They're the ones that had Riot transition, or not transition, go into more into HPCI, pause the Bitcoin mining expansion, and I think they're just trying to get rid of some old overhang, with Bitfarms being the old overhang there. Get rid of it, sell it, get done with it, and move forward there. I think that maybe they see that owning the shares in Bitfarms as a not a benefit, but as a, I'm trying to think of the word there. You guys know the opposite of benefit, a downside potentially. Let's see. Metaplan says Cleanspark has no catalyst for to go up except for BTC to increase. That's basically it. Grow, right? If they can continue to grow their hash rate and things like that, they're going to generate more revenue, and Bitcoin going up in value. Yeah. All right. Let's see. John has a question here. Do you see the huge volume on BitDigital today? When it came down to 342, I wanted to sell some, but yesterday you said, no, it's not time to buy, which I did. Thanks. Oh, yeah, I saw the huge volume there. Yeah. I think BitDigital is getting a little overpriced here. It could run for a little bit longer here, but man, the way the thing is acting recently here, it's just being pumped way too much here. No, that's just me. I could be wrong. All right, I'm trying to find another question here. Chris is definitely having some comments there with you guys. I see that. Let's see. All right, Daniel's got a question here. Maybe, please, if possible, add on your list to follow for the Ethereum Treasury play SBET, BMNR, SBET, currently holding over 500 million, and Ethereum will be the play to leverage Ethereum upside very soon. All right, I can add that to our list that we look at every day. That's not a big deal. Let me make a note for myself because I will forget. I got too much stuff going on in my head all the time. And if I don't make a note, it doesn't exist. So, all right, add ETH holders. All right. Yeah, we'll add it into maybe tomorrow's stream or the one after that, but I'll get it done and I'll get it in there. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay, let's see. Trying to find a question or comment. Jack says, from what I'm seeing, CORZ shareholders not happy with the deal. The vote will be interesting. It will be interesting, right? How much do the board there, along with the insiders, have on shares? Can they outvote everybody else? Everybody else, yeah. All right, Bajani2 says, I think CORZ dropped due to deal being 10% higher than current price, and many people joined last week hoping for a big run. They got out today to go chase other stocks. I think, like I said earlier, I think it's part of it. You got the insiders being able to sell in September. You got share dilution happening there. You got futures as well pointing to a lower price of CoreWeave. I think that all played into it. And you also have, obviously, CORZ got some debt. They got to pay down as well, but that should be already in there as well. All right. Is it good to buy SBET at $12? SBET, I don't know. I probably know who SBET is. I'm just drawing a blank on it right now. So I don't know. Spin says, Cleanspark crawl stage, just like the share price. Oh, boy, you guys are really dogging on Cleanspark here recently. Interesting. Question, how much correlation can happen on Iren? RSI is overheated. Can it come down to like $12 or $10? I would say it's possible. It's not out of the question there. Let's take a look at Iren here really quick. See how it's been acting here. Let's see, I'm on a weekly. Let's go to the daily here really quick chart. It is gangbusters right now. So there's a screen on it. And you can see here we got up to 1854, and the RSI is way overheated. But the interesting part with the RSI is that it can actually, go sideways or actually go down while the price is actually going up. So that's one of the things that I've learned early on is not to always follow the RSI, because the RSI can kick your butt in the end here. Just when you think things are getting a little too overheated, you go and sell something, and it goes running up even higher for you. So I would have to see some other things happening here where it would maybe point to a correction here, but I'm not seeing that right now at least. So yes, it is overbought on the daily, it seems like. On the weekly, it's getting there as well, but it still has a little bit more room it can run there. Right? On the monthly, monthly is different time frame, as too short of a period, I guess, to really gauge it here. Since it went public back in when did it go public? 2021? Yeah. So we have roughly, what is that? 36 months or something like that of data here, roughly. But yeah, like I said, I think it can still run much more than we think it might. But it can also correct. That's the wonderful world of trading. You really just don't know. If you're in huge profits here, take some profits. There's no shame in taking profits ever. Take what you put into it maybe, and then let the rest run. Something like that. There's always ways to play it. I'm holding on to it. I'm going to be holding on to it for a little bit, for quite a bit longer actually. We'll see where it actually goes by the end of the year here. And then we'll reassess and we'll figure things out. Going back here. Trying to read some of the comments here. There's a lot of comments between John and Chris here. What else we got here? Okay. Yeah, Jack says the same thing. I don't really see a catalyst for Cleanspark to pop other than huge increase in Bitcoin price, of course, and even then, the move will be muted. Well, not necessarily, depending where Bitcoin goes. Will it surge this year? If you guys are talking about Cleanspark, I think it will. See what else. Metaplanet says, good luck holding Cleanspark after the next halving. Well, what if Bitcoin price continues to go up, right? What if we don't have those drawdowns? I mean, the halving events have always been a bad time for the miners because Bitcoin price is going down, usually because of a bear market, and we're down 70-80% on Bitcoin, and that never helps with the halving event. But what if we don't have that? What if Bitcoin just continues to go up slowly by next halving, to 300,000, 350,000, whatever it might be, right? And we just don't have that huge bear correction. Jack says, BitDigital is still getting basically no recognition for their AI HPC business. Today was all about Ethereum, so just wait until people actually wake up. Well, remember, the HPCI business is going to be put into another company, right? White Fiber. That's going to be going public there as well. So it's going to be split up. So it's going to be BitDigital is going to be Ethereum holding company, and they're going to have White Fiber as HPCI play. Marcus says Cleanspark could easily buy a HPC miner. HPC miner. I didn't know there was such a thing. Bang Bang says this is about BitDigital here. 250 million in ETH equals 1 billion market cap. Yeah, I mean, that's 4x on it, right? Take out the White Fiber part of the business. Get rid of the Bitcoin mining side of things for revenue on that. And, right, should they be getting a 4x multiple? And probably not, right? I could see a 2x. At most, I could see that. But then we're seeing some other companies, Metaplanet and others, getting a huge multiple as well on how they have for Bitcoin. See, Drago says, bang, I just follow the big money. I don't make the rules. I made my wealth from one of the most expensive stocks ever, Palantir. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to follow the money, right? Even though it doesn't make any sense, sometimes it still goes up. Oh. All right. Let's see. Bear with me, everyone. I'm just reading through the comments here. A lot of people are obviously happy with BitDigital. All right. And there's a lot of conversation between you guys as well. Let's see. Drago says Tom Lee makes some great calls. He makes some great calls, yes, but he also can make some outlandish calls, I think, as well. Prediction for Bitcoin last cycle was nowhere near, but it wasn't for a lot of people here as well, so I can't really blame him for that. But yeah, I follow him as well. All right. Matt Case is in here. Hey, buddy. I hope you're wearing your PJs right now and taking it chill. Great job as always. Thanks for the hard work. You're very welcome, Matt. And always, my gosh, your enthusiasm on your show is contagious. It's great. I love attending your guys' shows all the time when I can. Sometimes I'm just too busy with family and I get in too late. I'm like, I'll catch it up in the reruns. But thanks for coming in. Let's see, Jack says, Mara and BitDigital aren't really even comparable, really. I have both, but they are heading in very different directions. AI inference is BitDigital's focus. It is, yeah. Andy says, BitDigital is approaching 1 billion valuation, appears to be a classic pump and dump scheme. Maybe, maybe not, right? I mean, if people are seeing that there might be a lot of institutions buying into Ethereum as well going forward, could that bring the price up? Maybe. No, I don't know. Jared says, Robinhood is joining the Ethereum team as well, so they're going to be highlighting that. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Defi says, I'm up 140% in Iren. Should I swap for Cleanspark? That's going to be dependent on your factors, right? I can't speak for you. I'm holding on to both. I'm up. Iren, I'm up 111% right now. Cleanspark's 108%. So I'm doing really good with both. I'm holding on to both of them. Would I swap one for the other? I don't know. Depending where your price of Cleanspark is, I guess, you have to run the numbers on it. Do you think Cleanspark could catch up and get a nice bid as Bitcoin price goes up? And then, right, as long as you, I mean, the reason we're in Iren is one, the operations and the HPCI potential there, right? So if they can capitalize on the HPCI potential, it could still do very, very well going forward here. Cleanspark obviously is a great operator as well, but for them it's going to be Bitcoin price moving up, right? So if you believe Bitcoin price is going to go up, they're increasing their hash rate, they could go up as well in time. That's just my thoughts there. What are you buying? I'm not buying anything right now. Everything is going to run up on me here a little bit. I'm waiting for a little bit more of a pullback if I can get it. I don't like to buy into the green. I like to buy into the red. So we'll see if we get any kind of pullback here in the next couple of weeks. If anything, maybe I'll just buy more Bitcoin here at that point. I mean, Bitcoin's kind of flat as it is right now. JC says, did you sell most of your Bitfarms? Bitfarms is such a sad story. No, I still own, well, I sold 2/3 of it back in late last year, right? I own 1/3 of it left. I'm going to hold on to that one to see how they do going forward here. And, you know, maybe they do get some kind of deal for HPCI as well. All right. Gary says, Iren all-time record volume today, 51 million shares. Obviously profit taking place, but even more new eyes looking to enter the space, preventing pullback. Those hoping for big pullback may have got it from, okay, so we may have gotten it today. There's definitely a potential there, right? Okay. Let's see. All right. Jack B. Nimble says $4, no doubt. How many other miners have their CEO buying 1.5 million in shares? I'd love to know. Well, Ben from Bitfarms bought some, but he didn't buy that many shares, or not that value of it, that I know of at least here recently, in the past, I would say 6 months or so. Other than that, yeah, I don't know. Nobody else. So you're thinking BitDigital could go to $4? That's not too far off from that as it is now. Question from Victor. Is CORZ a buy at $14? Thanks. Not much upside from it, right? I mean, it's being priced at $20.40 right now based on the numbers there, but it could come down. And in that number, depending where CoreWeave shares end up at during the transaction, during the buyout itself, sometime in Q4. So that's the questionable part there. That's why I think the market actually discounted Core Scientific stock today because of that. All right. Let's see. Sadie, thank you so much again for the likes. How high BitDigital can go? I think, oh gosh, right? I don't know. I really do not know. I think it's already overpriced based on the Ethereum model that they have. They're going to get some more money from selling the Bitcoin miners there. That'll generate, that'll allow them to buy more Ethereum as well. Is that why the stock is being priced on that? But can they actually buy that many more? I don't know. Okay, Real Rug says BitDigital is currently showing on Webull technical analysis top list. Yeah, anytime a stock goes up pretty nicely here in a couple of days, it's going to pop up on that. S. Romney has got a question. If Bitfarms can go up with Riot unloading, imagine how much it can go with Riot is done. Sniffs a lot of copiums. It's possible, right? I mean, there's a lot of sell pressure from Riot, so that has been keeping the stock down, but it's actually been going up here recently, so it's kind of nice to see. All right, Greg's got a question. Do you think any company besides Iren will be gap positive in Q2 on Bitcoin mining? Would be a positive for the space if we get more than 2 profitable miners in Q2. I do think we're going to see, I think Cleanspark is going to get close if they don't do it without the FASB impact, right? So take that out. Can they be profitable at that point? I think they can, as they've gotten obviously to higher hash rate. Bitcoin prices also come up here, so that's definitely helping them out. So I would think Iren for sure should be gap positive. And then I would think also Cleanspark here. That's going to be one that I really want to see get positive there. That would be a good thing. How many miners are debt-free? Well, I mean, they all have a certain amount of debts for they're buying infrastructure or machines or components that go into the sites there, right? So they always have some debt. Depends on how much debt you're looking at, right? A lot of these guys have less than 100 million in debt. Some are even less than 30 million in debt, I think. So they're not doing too bad. Yeah, Matt says here, don't sleep on Matt, Gary, and the team at Cleanspark. They manage debt very well. Yeah, would absolutely agree there. Okay, Real Rug says 3.3 million shares of CORZ borrowed today per iBorrow desk based on start of day, number of shares available for lending versus end of day. Okay, interesting. Marcus, do you still see a possible run up this year for all miners of this is as good as it will get? No, I still think they'll run even more, but we need Bitcoin to go up. We really do. See, Chris says, so far BTC is going down. Where is the limited supply pump whales are dumping? Yes, one of the OGs are definitely, in huge profits. So they might be the ones that are actually selling it here while everybody else is trying to buy it up. Real Work says, Wednesday, look for those Fed notes. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. Let's see, Humble Servant question, is mining difficulty weighing down the miner's profitability? If so, which miner has the best equipment to mine Bitcoin? Well, difficulty actually went down, but it's going to go back up here possibly in the next week or so, I think. But it went down for a little bit, so that's actually good for the miners. They're actually generating more Bitcoin because of that. When it goes back up, it's obviously they're going to be generating a little less, but that's kind of known there. The best miners out there are Iren, Cleanspark, have the most efficient machines, followed by probably Cypher as well. And then after that, we're looking at Riot, Mara as well. And then we're going down the list after that, potentially. All right. Matt says he is in his PJs. That's awesome. All right. DFly says, Tom Lee says banks will buy Ethereum not to speculate, but to secure the financial system. Thoughts? Oh, gosh. I don't know. That's way over my head when it comes to finance, economics, and all that stuff. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, he makes a compelling argument for it, and I've heard him talk about that, but I just don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe he sees something that we don't see, right? He might have some inside knowledge for that. Okay, Marcus asks a question. What are your thoughts on Canon? Do you follow them and maybe have evaluation on the company stock? I keep an eye on them. I don't follow them completely, but I know that others have asked about Canon as well. And I'll say the same thing that I told them, is they haven't performed nowhere near to what Bitcoin has done or the other miners. So they've been underperforming tremendously. Could they finally get a nice little appreciation there? Maybe, I don't know. But for those reasons, I would not be in it. DeFi, what's your price target for BTC? Mine for the end of the year, I think, is somewhere between 180,000 and 200,000. I'd love to see it obviously be up higher than that. Matt says, Iren versus Cleanspark are two different plays. Yeah, absolutely. Cleanspark and Iren, the only thing they have in common is Bitcoin mining. They're great at doing that thing. But then you also have, Cleanspark has a HODL position. Iren does not. Iren has HPCI potential. Cleanspark does not. So that's kind of where they differ on those things. And you kind of get into both things for different reasons, right? But there is something in common at least that they have in, together. All right, Andre, Sebastian, how's it hanging? It's hanging good. Can CoreWeave actually get to $200 in the next 3 months? Looks like many are banking it to drop 30%, which would explain the sloppy day for CORZ thoughts. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been seeing today as well. There's a lot of comments about CoreWeave. Insiders being able to sell in September, right? That's going to put sell pressure on the stock. You got also possibly some dilution happening there. And you have the futures talking about it being priced around $115 per share sometime in October or November. So could it get to $200? That's going to be tough. I don't see that happening in the next 3 months here. But you never know, right? If they get a deal with somebody else for, $20 billion deal or whatever it is, the stock could go up. Marcus says, Bitfarms CEO Ben taking a loss on his buy right now. I think it was 160,000 at 167 or $1.67. I know, yeah, it was a little bit higher there that he was buying at. But he's still holding on to it. He still bought into it, right? He still believes in the company there. So that's always a good sign there. Price target for Iren. Oh my gosh. How soon do they get an HPCI deal? Right? If they get an HPCI deal, we could be looking at $30, $40 plus. And Bitcoin goes up to 200,000. I mean, we're looking even higher at that point as well, because you got revenue on top of revenue being added on, but it also depends on how fast they can get the revenue for the HPCI. So, yeah. Let's see. Why is Cypher so depressed? Yeah, I don't know. Cypher has not been doing too well. I mean, it's had a nice run up here recently, but yeah, it hasn't been doing that great. Kind of similar to Cleanspark as well. Michael's got a question here. Sebastian, why did CORZ down so much today, and which miners has the best value on the sell-off on the miners today? Okay, so CORZ went down today because of all-in-stock deal. Right, it's going to happen in Q4. So you got sell pressure coming in September from the team there at CoreWeave, where their lock-in, or yeah, I think it's lock-in period is going to be done with, so they can sell shares. Yeah, probably some dilution happening there. You got futures also pointing to stock being down $115 or somewhere around there. That's why CORZ went down. All right, it's just based on the repricing of those things happening. As far as the sell-off on the miners, which ones are best values right now? If you look at just fundamentals and valuations right now, Bitfarms and Hive still look like they're most undervalued based on those things, but there might be reasons for that, right? Both of those guys are Canadian-based. Hive is now at least in the United States, right? They're issuing, what's the word I'm looking there for? They're providing financials from the United States, basically. So they got that going for them, but otherwise, Hive doesn't have anything in the United States. Everything is overseas. And then Bitfarms obviously has had some issues here in the past, right? So that's probably why those two are still way undervalued. Other than that, I mean, we're looking at Cleanspark Iren, I think, Cypher as well. I would say then you get into more like Mara, Riot as well, and everybody else down below after that. Let's see. DFly asks, will you buy Ethereum? I own a little bit of Ethereum, like 1 something Ethereum. So I own a little bit, but I never really got into it that much. Yeah. Gary, question, with the new rules, miners can write off depreciation in 1 year. Do you think this accounting change could change profitable numbers on quarterly financials? Well, if you get rid of the depreciation part of it, yeah, if you can do that in 1 year, then your depreciation numbers should come down after that, but I don't know. I'm not an accountant on that part of it, so I don't know how much of an impact it would actually have. But it will be interesting. All right. Private's question, price target for Cleanspark by the end of the year. BTC is at 180,000 or even 200,000. How high do you see Cleanspark going? Okay. So that's basically a 2x from where Bitcoin is right now. So I would expect them to do, at the very least, a 2x. Bare minimum is a 2x from where they are right now. But historically, they would do at least like a 3 to 4x, I would think. So that's kind of where I would see at the bare minimum. 2 to 3x, bare minimum. Like we could see maybe 4x even. Yeah. All right. Matt says, don't bet against Mike Alfred at Iren. Yeah. I agree. All right, Michael White, of course, talked about that one already, right? Just the repricing of where CoreWeave stock possibly could be at the end of when the transaction is actually done, sometime around October, November, or December, somewhere around there. All right. What miners stock will hit $100 this year? None of them. I don't think any of them will actually hit that. Okay. Question, you think it's likely Iren and Cleanspark 3x from here? Just with Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin goes up to 200,000, something like that. I think, yeah, we could definitely see that happening here. I mean, we saw that these guys run 20, 30% in 1 week. We saw some running 60% in 1 week. Why couldn't they do that still in the next 6 months? I think it's still possible here. Okay. Question, do you think Iren ends the bull run a lot higher than Cleanspark or pretty much the same, both in the 30s? Thanks. Again, it'll depend on where Bitcoin price is at. Where does Cleanspark end up with their hash rate by the end of the year? And then does Iren actually have an HPC ideal? I think those things will determine where each one is separately, right? Right now, the HPC ideals are getting a premium from investors, right? They're looking for that. And so if Iren can do that, they can definitely catch a better premium maybe on that one. All right, that's it. We're going a little bit longer tonight as it is. We're going an hour, 10 minutes already as it is. So we'll see what excuse me. We'll see what happens tomorrow with these guys. Nobody has a crystal ball, unfortunately. Not either I. Oh, man, I wish I had a crystal ball though. It'd be so much easier, and I would definitely let you guys know at that point what I'm buying and selling all the time. But we don't have one, so we have to see what happens tomorrow, and we'll talk about it. Obviously, I'm still waiting on 2 miners to report. I'm waiting on Hive to report, and one other one. What's the other one that I'm, BitTier. BitTier is the other one I'm waiting on. And we're seeing less and less of these miners reporting, and we're going to see even less as, well, Core already stopped providing it anyway, so that's kind of a moot point there. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll cover it, and we'll get into some of the other minor metrics as well as time progresses here this week. As the other miners report, we'll get all that stuff done for you guys, and we'll talk about it at that point. So it's never a dull moment here in these miners. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Thank you all for coming in. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.